Hello and good morning, evening or afternoon, depending on when you are tuning into this, the latest episode of Edie's Susty Talk video interview series. This series was initially launched in lockdown number 1 here in the UK to keep us all feeling a little bit more connected to the sustainability conversation throughout lockdown while we were working from home. We're still very much here, and I'm delighted to be dialing in for a guest up in the peaks and lakes, David Hanney, the CEO and co-founder of Alpkit. So thank you so much for your time, David. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for inviting us.
Great. And what's it like up there at the moment? Because sweltering heat wave.
Hot. Yes, I'm in the back of our shop in Hathersage, and it is boiling hot, which we love because getting outdoors, it's been the antidote for so many people right now.
For sure, and I'm sure we can come on to a bit of that later. But just for people who are watching who might not know of Alpkit, I'm not highly outdoorsy, so this is probably my introduction as well. It'd be great to hear a little bit more about the brand and what motivated you to help set it up.
Yeah, so we're an outdoor brand, and unlike other outdoor brands in the UK, we're really for people who run, hike, climb, camp, swim and bike. So we design our own products, develop our own products. We make we've got our own little factory in Nottingham that makes backpacks and bags, and then we sell online. We sell directly online to consumers, and we've got 6 shops in the UK, which are mainly in the national parks. We've opened one in Edinburgh, and we've got 2 coming up soon, one in Ilkley and one in Bristol.
Fantastic. And I wanted to touch on how obviously it's a brand with sustainability built in, which we're going to touch on when we talk about things like B-Corp circulations and sustainability principles. But I'd love to hear about how that's set up. So is that your responsibility as CEO, or do you have a sustainability team of professionals that you interact with?
Yeah. So myself and Nick Smith, one of the other co-founders, collectively we own a majority of Alpkit, and it's us 2 in particular who are the driving force of sustainability at Alpkit. So it started off Nick and I as owners as well as managers, and as CEO, he's MD. We take sustainability very seriously, and it's been really at a core since starting Alpkit. And over the years, it's developed, particularly as we've taken on more staff, and we've grown. We've now got about 120 staff. And nowadays we've got a sustainability group, which is a group of about 10 of us made up from people across the business. I'm still on it, on the group, and we've got people from stores, people from product design, people from buying, from finance, who all help us. And so it's moved to being very much a kind of founder-led initiative to being something that's very broad. And the sustainability for us is like a subgroup, a subcommittee of the board. So the sustainability group itself reports to the board and gives advice, recommendations to the board that we carry out. And that group itself sets the agenda and the framework that we work into, and also the kind of measures about what's important that we'll measure throughout a particular period, that kind of thing.
That's really interesting. So you get that voice in from all different parts.
Totally, and it's also where we have really some of the best debates and discussions that we have are in the sustainability group. So things like diversity and inclusion is a big aspect of the sustainability group, not just race but gender, different kind of aspects of diversity, but also what's important from a sustainability perspective, and things like pay gaps and aspects, things like just how we deal with contradictions of being a brand that sells product that we make stuff. So things of sometimes we do still fly in product, and it's always too much to fly in rather than going slow travel, and dealing with those kind of contradictions. It gives a good forum for us to discuss the latest initiatives.
And I wanted to touch on one of the environmental sustainability things that you guys have got going on. So I was looking at the website, and something that stood out to me as really interesting, and something I'm sure that group raised to you in the first instance, is a commitment to products and business models with circular economy principles. And I feel like I see a lot of this from the outdoor space recently. So it would be great to hear a little bit more about that.
So there's a couple of things. Obviously, a lot of the emphasis in product is to choose lower impact materials, use renewables in supply chain, products that are durable, last longer, that we can repair, that we reuse and ultimately recycle. And ever since we've started, all of our stores and Alpkit offices itself, we've got repair stations, so we repair any product, any branded product that we repair. And the repair stations have been really core to our retail offerings. So 4 out of the 6 shops have got machinists in store every day of the week, seamsters who are making and repairing product. And all of our stores offer the repair station, so you can drop off any branded product at any shop and we'll repair it. And something I'm particularly proud of is the Continuum project. So Continuum started about 5 years ago, and I was in Manchester walking through, and it's November time, and I was thinking, God, you know, when I was seeing homelessness was pretty acute at that particular moment, and I was thinking we must be able to do something about it. And the idea was developed from that. Effectively, we've got a really well established, as many online retailers have, a really well established returns process. So piggybacking on the returns process, we can ask customers to send in any product, and we will rehome it. So we've found through a network of charity partners, including Recycle Bike, British City Mission, we've got a campaign coming up shortly for people to send us their wetsuits, and we will partner with dirt bags to make the wetsuits into things like changing mats, carry bags, climbing bags, and they will then sell on the product somewhere else and then recycle it themselves. So we pledge, if you send us a product, we will rehome it, and we promise it won't go to landfill at the end. So essentially it's a big reuse project, and ultimately things that can't be recycled, we can't recycle ourselves. We've got an agreement with a waste provider that we will use it for effectively energy production, and the kind of things that will go for energy production is foam in bouldering mats and foam in camping sleeping mats. Now that isn't really circular because it's going for energy use rather than being remade into future products, but it's what we pledge, and we're finding ways of dealing with each particular aspect. So over the years we've rehomed about 3 tons of outdoor gear, and it's about 7,000 or 8,000 people who have donated through either dropping up in store or posting back. We've got a free post address, so it doesn't cost you anything to send stuff back to us. And it's a lovely thing. So product comes back to us at Alpkit, and then we have really nice weekends where everyone from people across the place will go into the car park and have a big sorting function. So we'll say all legwear can go there, all waterproofs can go there, all boots can go there, all tents can go in that box. We have a big kind of sorting function. Then our charitable partners will come and we'll distribute it on. So what's really lovely about how that little idea in a winter's day in Manchester can turn into something that it's got its own life, and staff really get behind it. So it's a real joy, real delight, and hopefully the main thing is to get product out of people's wardrobes and gear cupboards and back into use. Now that's 5 years ago, and that's probably before I kind of really understood a lot more about circularity and circular economy. But I think it's an action that we've been able to take, you know, as a tiny outdoor brand that is pretty rare, and is actually, it's an action that I think the market is coming to, if you get what I mean. We were doing it before we really knew what circular is, and we did it mainly because we wanted to, and it's a really good platform to build from now.
No, I definitely remember seeing like announcements from like your VF Corps very recently on things like this. Finally at that stage of beyond a trial and now to an actual offering. Yeah,
and then that's it really works for us, the customer community engagement. So here we're on the peaks, and I've heard stories of people driving 2 hours to come to the shop to donate their product. It's really lovely, and so it's part of the DNA of the store now. It's very special.
So do you think that could be replicated by other businesses?
Well, totally. And some of the stuff we've been doing at Alpkit is really to try and get things into place when you're small, because it's a lot easier to do when you're small. It feels like get it right. I think our challenge now is how do we scale Continuum, and how do we help it keep it going, which for me is putting really good process behind it, and effectively through the sustainability group and the teamwork of people recognizing that we're doing good, and it's a positive thing, and it's part of being in business. It's good fun, and so it's a real good aspect. It takes you out of your day-to-day working life, but it's still work. You still get paid for it, but it's a real difference you can make, and I think it's additive to Alpkit as a whole. It's partly why customers shop from us.
I wanted to come on to that as well, and how you mentioned that the sustainability group also covers your socials, your pay gaps, your diversity and inclusion, and I know that the business is B-Corp. I know we'll probably have a lot of listeners who are looking at B-Corp, or they are a B-Corp and want to shout about it, or they are a B-Corp but they want to improve their score for their next report. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that journey. So what that was like behind the scenes, and why perhaps you went for B-Corp rather than an alternative accreditation.
So it has been a big journey for us, and we're kind of on the tracks, and I recognise we're at the beginning of the tracks, and we've got a lot of work to do. So I don't come to say B-Corp that we're somehow some sustainable wonder that everyone should look to. Particularly, so way back, we wrote down sustainability principles and had them on the website, and what we stood for, which is things like fair pay, we pay our taxes, no bugs, make the environmental choices, that kind of aspect. Then back in 2016 time, particularly as getting more staff, when we're 10, 12 staff, we could do stuff at Alpkit and everyone kind of knew what we were doing, but I recognised as we were growing, it's harder to kind of engage and let 20, 30, 40, 50 people across different sites know what we're doing. So we actually went to the Ethical Consumer magazine, and they were brilliant in just helping translate what we were doing into sustainability principles. And we wrote down 6 sustainability principles, including things like circular economy, treating animals humanely, respecting the environment, giving back, building a better business, treating people, working with people you believe in. So those 6 principles. And then actually we're aware of B-Corp, and they've got a really good free online template that you can fill in as an assessment, and it gives you a score. So we filled in that template, and we had the score that let us, we got a score of 95, and if you're above 80, you qualify as being a B-Corp. And we thought what we really liked about B-Corp was a couple of things. One, it gives a real framework that when you've got many staff, of just you can articulate what you believe in and the kind of choices you're trying to make. So what's better, sort of paying living wage foundation wage in the UK, or trying to take things by fast or slow transport from the Far East, those kind of choices are real dilemmas that we're having. And B-Corp has given us a handrail that we can share and be far more transparent and visible with our own team about. And so it's been a collective journey, which has worked really well. But the thing that's been really profound for us, hadn't quite anticipated the customer engagement and the response that B-Corp has given us. So that's took us a bit by surprise. And in a way, we've kind of been thinking, God, we've been banging on about this for years. Didn't you know we did this? So just having the certification has helped us and helps customers appreciate just what we do, which has been really special and very much appreciated. So it's something, again, we did ourselves, and we didn't have any support. We didn't go to any consultants to help us, which is a bit nervy, because I kind of felt a little bit, have I truly understood the question and now we've just got it wrong kind of aspect. But B-Corp as a community then has helped us quite a lot. There's been a few events that have come through which have been really good. So I'd really encourage everyone to just use the free tool. And it's really deep. When you think about it a lot, it's well thought out. I've got a lot of confidence in it. And we've set out for us, it gives a pathway to world class. And world class currently is a score of 130. And if we were to go through the accreditation now, how as I said, did I get the question wrong? Look at it now, we could have got, there's a lot more we're doing from an environmental aspect in particular that we just didn't take the points for. And that's because we're a little bit, I don't know. Well, we should, we could reaccredit maybe. Well, in 3 years we will. But so we've got a really good pathway to world class, which for us is doing some basics right, but then really looking to very good resource reduction projects within our supply chain. And we've got a good idea of what they are. And also the choice of poverty alleviation projects in our supply chain. So where we decide to make, and those are the big things we need to look at to be recognised as world class. And what's lovely about B Corp is that it's one size fits all. So whether you're tiny or huge, it's the same metrics that you're being judged on. There's no get out clause because you're small, and no get out clause because you're big, which is nice.
Now, of course, we're still waiting for the multinational certification, but I'd say that big up to that point, yes.
Yeah. And I think actually the qualification for the third sector, so I've had a few charities get in touch with us and saying we're a charity, is there any certification you could follow? What do you recommend? And there isn't an equivalent model for charities, which I think could be helpful for someone.
So aside from having these models, what do you think could be done to help more businesses become B Corp? So in other discussions that I've had with B Corps, they've said, oh, while our customers, like your customers, are really aware of this already and quite invested, it might not strike just the average person on the street, and that maybe with retailers like Ocado having a B Corp aisle, that might bring more awareness to what it is and who's in the group. But what's your thought? What is ultimately stopping more businesses from going B Corp?
I think we've asked some people, and it's only anecdotal, but I know some brands, I know cost and time is an issue. That we were able to do it when we got to a level, because as a small brand, it's not that we're hugely profitable, throwing off cash, and we've got oodles of money to spend, and we're bootstrapped because we haven't got any kind of external funding that would help pay for this. So funding aspect, so if there's some kind of support to help people coming through, or more hand holding, maybe as an aspirant B Corp, you could somehow buddy up with real B Corp, so I could share more about the journey, and obviously people can get in touch with us if they want to know about the journey to B Corp, because I think having the confidence to get on do it. A lot of what people have said to us as an issue is just a fear of getting it wrong. And that's a real fear, particularly in a very social media world, that if you get it wrong, you make a mistake, that you could be really, really punished for it. And I think that's an aspect. There's areas, I think, which is crying out for government regulation, absolutely crying out for stronger government regulation. I'd love to see that, particularly over carbon offsetting. So there's a bit more of a level playing field about what it means to be net zero, what it means to set science-based targets. So I think government's doing their bit and regulators doing their bit to set that pathway overall. I think customers who are environmentally mandated are very, very good at being able to sense check of who is doing what. But for me personally, I'd love to see how we can make sustainable choices more mainstream, and that sustainability doesn't have to come at a price tag, which a lot of brands seem to think it does, that the sustainable customer is prepared to pay more for something. And I think actually it's really powerful when you can look at sustainability and saying it doesn't have to come at a higher price tag, it's just more better thought out design that can help and do things naturally. And then for sure, if there's a marketplace where I don't actually see B Corp, for me, it's not a club where I want to lock out other people. So actually, I'm not that much in favour of B Corp aisles, if you know what I mean, because it's B Corp isn't the only sustainable certification. I'm sure there's B Corp, so certified B Corp. So if you dug a little bit deeper, may have a different level of practice. So I don't think it's a guarantee to sustainability. You've still, as a consumer, you've still got to be pretty savvy to be able to read through what is being presented to you, and what you feel is actually happening.
Well, there's lots of moving parts there, David, and we could stay and chat about it all afternoon, but for today I'm going to have to leave it there, and thank you so much for your time.
Well, lovely. Thanks, Sarah. Take care.